I'm all for a highlights package.
Okay.
And good. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Tom check. Tom check, Tom check. I can speak.
And mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. I sound like I'm from, I don't know, Boston, maybe. Tom Mic Check. That's my name, Tom Mic Check.
It's Tom Shires, no longer full of cold.
Which is always a benefit.
It is.
To you and to everyone else, really, because contagious.
Well, only stopping spit. Mike Island?
Mike Island.
Is that it?
That's it, yeah.
No tagline. No health status.
Is this just a cynical attempt on the part of the Academy, who are a money-making racket, that they wanted viewers, therefore they wanted... Oh, so they wanted advertising, therefore they needed more viewers, therefore let's have an award that's going to reward popular films, whereas we can keep our highbrow best picture to ourselves.
My problem with the whole idea is that the winner of that Oscar, had it gone ahead, it's effectively a pity Oscar, isn't it? It's basically, you're not highbrow enough, or you're not clever enough, or you're not creative enough, per se, to have the best picture, not to even be nominated for that. But, these are fun films. But I put this to you, case in point perhaps, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. What differentiates that fantasy film from Star Wars The Last Jedi or Black Panther?
It was good. And the Oscars proved it. No, I think I find the idea of having a most popular film Oscar a difficult sell either way, because you're basically saying that this is the award that we're giving out to the film that has made the most money, the most bums on seats have granted an award to this particular movie. And I can understand why artists wouldn't like receiving that. But at the same time, I can also think, well, does that mean films that are unpopular are the only ones that are going to win Best Picture? Concluding the remakes...
Pew, 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 pew. It's Little Women.
No, Little Women, a remake is actually in the works from Greta Gerwig. But we're going to West Side Story.
Pew, pew, pew. I thought, I've got the Wild Bunch. Are we not bothering with that either?
We can do that.
Jonathan Gibson.
There's a remake of The Wild Bunch coming out as well, directed by Mel.
I was doing West Side Story. I've been clicking my fingers and I can't really do it. That's the best I can do.
I thought you were thinking Wild West when you were doing. I thought that was what you were playing.
Oh yeah, Wild West Side Story.
Yeah. Is that?
Yeah.
Is that a forthcoming Will Smith vehicle? That'd be a giant spider. Anson Elgort has been confirmed as starring in Steven Spielberg's adaptation of West Side Story, which of course was one of the biggest successes of the 1960s.
It's a painful film to watch, you know. Have you ever watched it?
You don't like it?
It outstays its welcome, and I don't say that much. I love a musical. Having seen it on stage and performed in it on stage even.
Who were you, Maria?
I was Officer Krupke. I'm basically the neighbourhood policeman that is tortured by the two gangs. Not literally, but they're little scamps, and I chase them around.
Well, that's quite a sliding scale. You've gone tortured to chased around a bit by scamps.
It was emotive language, hyperbole, if you will.
Mrs. Agenda, are you trying to seduce me?
You're listening to the Shires and Ireland Agenda. Indeed, and I'm sorry, Bob, but it was your own fault, because I follow the marketing of these films very, very avidly. And in the run-up to The Last Jedi, it was all about The Last Jedi, and it's almost like someone realised when it became like January the 1st and Last Jedi had been out for a couple of weeks and raked a load of money, that we've got another film out in 5 months and we best do something. So I just can't believe that a company the size of Disney, who seemingly have it all planned out and have done so well with mapping out all these universes, could have dropped the ball in such a way.
Well, it does seem...
Unless it was a plan.
They planned to drop the ball.
They planned to drop the ball because maybe they felt that they'd set themselves up for too much, so therefore we drop a clanger and we can get ourselves out of it.
You want to drop a clanger, that's just cruel. And at the same time, there is work on a live-action Jetsons film big screen interpretations of the Flintstones, and wacky races.
What? It's happening.
You wanted a wacky races film?
I've been talking about live action wacky races for as long as I can remember. I'm just glad they're finally listening.
Why is this happening? Not why are people listening to you? Thank you for listening to us. We're talking now about the Sean Bean Dead scene, which I think should be the name of a band, really, but it isn't. We're talking about the fact that Sheffield's most famous son...
yeah, because I can't think of anyone.
Neil Warnock?
Is Jarvis Cocker, was he born and bred in?
I think he was, yeah.
I see. Might be him.
You think so?
I think it might be him.
Okay. Well, Sean Bean known for many things.
No, it's Sean Bean. It's Sean Bean.
Over the years. But the thing that's become most closely associated with Sean Bean is...
When Saturday Comes, which is actually the greatest film ever made.
Very much so. It's... If you go to see a film that's got Sean Bean in it, how much money do you want on the fact that he's not going to make it out of the film alive?
One does not simply... die. Yeah. You can see memes of that everywhere. No, it's become a recurring joke, and it's not always the case, but
a lot of the time it
mathematically, more often than not.
We're all going to get into the maths. We're going to go dig deep down into the algorithms.
Bean counting.
No,
nothing?
I liked it.
Thanks. Just acknowledgement. That's what I'm here for. Maybe. We would go on to our third item of Big Three, but that old news has become new news on account of something that has happened actually today. I'm not going to tell you what day. You'll be able to work it out if you're very, very clever.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Or if you want a calendar.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You might not have to be clever, just you can do numbers and boxes.
I had trouble with that earlier on today, but we may all go into that later on.
It's round, it's purple, it shows you what to view. It's Mike's Big W.
So yes, it used to be Freeview Film of the Week.
Still can be if you want.
Do the voice.
Freeview Film of the Week.
But now it is Mike's Big W. And should we give a bit of an explanation of why it is Mike's Big W?
I think, yeah, for legal reasons and decency, we need to explain what Mike's Big W is right now. But we only do it once. So if you miss this one, you probably just think that we're weird or pervy. But it's not.
Okay, what it is I used to get, and still do get, a TV guide every week.
Paper TV guides?
They do exist, yeah. And it became a habit. I did it over Christmas initially, but I've started doing it every single week, of putting a W next to the television programmes I wanted to watch with a big felt tip pen.
Now, am I right or am I wrong that the colour of the W has changed over time?
It has changed many times over the years. I think I'm right in saying it started out being red, then it moved on to purple, then yellow, blue, green, and we are now on, if memory serves, pink.
All right, it's a good colour.
Well, it is. It is simply the case that after a while the felt tip pen runs out.
Oh, I see.
I have a thing for Enemy of the State, but I have to agree that in terms of
nice shopping bags in Enemy of the State. Do you remember?
I don't remember why.
Towards the start of the film, he's in some kind of exclusive. I don't know, it's like a technology shop or whatever, and they have lovely gift bags.
Is that
that's my lasting memory of Will Smith being deleted.
Because of course he didn't want to get on the. What was it? Was it on the network? Was that the expression that was used in the film? On the grid.
On the net.
He didn't want to.
It wasn't on the net, was it?
No, that was the Sandra Bullock film.
Oh.
So yes, they're both on this week and well worth looking out for. Back when Nicolas Cage
had hair? No, I don't think he had hair then, did he?
Well, it's supposed to be a sort of swashbuckler starring Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh.
Please, no names.
Yes, very much.
Does he do the voice?
He doesn't do the voice. There is a famous, I think, apocryphal story. What's Debbie Reynolds? Yeah,
What's Debbie Reynolds' name?
I was thinking of what's Carrie Fisher's mother's name, but then I realised it was Debbie Reynolds. She apparently came up with this story that Tony Curtis used a exaggerated accent, exaggerated Brooklyn accent, I think it was, to say, "Yonder lies the castle of my father," when he's supposed to be a medieval English peasant. And
it's almost Singing in the Rain style of, and I can't stand him.
Yeah, it is a little bit like that. Paul Verhoeven, it's a double bill actually of Paul Verhoeven films on ITV4.
24?
Yeah, well
yes.
done.
Memory.
On Sunday night, but the first one is...
Not a sound on the pavement. Sorry, go on.
Is RoboCop, which of course is Paul Weller as the police officer
Is he called Paul Weller?
It's Paul. It's not. I put Paul Weller. It's not Paul Weller.
You mean something to me. You have 60 seconds to comply.
Who stars?
He's going underground anyway.
Who stars as the police officer who's turned into a cyborg by, is it a private company that are working with
How
the
do they
police
buy his
force?
bits?
Well, this is the thing. I've never seen RoboCop, but the reason I wanted to ask you about it is because you strike me as the sort of person who might have done.
I have, and I've seen the remake as well, which isn't that bad.
Okay. And, yeah, also Benedict Wong, who was in Doctor Strange. He was Doctor Strange's assistant.
Oh, yes.
So, I don't know.
Is he called Wong? I think he might be called Wong in it.
Is that his character? No. Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, make sure you tune into that on Wednesday evening. Well, I say it's actually Wednesday morning at 1:30 a.m.
No, technically as well, you've learned your lesson.
1:30 a.m. on the Sony Movie Channel, which is channel number
32.
He's correct.
Oh! You played a Peaky Blinder all night, Mike. Are you ready for the final round?
Hit me with your question stick. Hit me. Hit me.
For tonight's grand prize, a 100% unofficial Shires and Ireland pin badge. The category is brand. James Brand. I have rebranded Bond film titles to give them that true action thriller feel.
Oh my lord.
You have 2 minutes on the clock to tell me what the actual films are called. You win if I say you win.
Oh great, I love arbitrary competitions.
And this round may contain spoilers. Are you ready to begin?
I suppose so.
Begin! James Bond in Allergies Can Kill.
On a Majesty's Secret Service, I think.
James Bond in Space.
Is that Moonraker?
James Bond in Voodoo Drug Party.
I'm going to guess that Live and Let Die.
James Bond in Opportunity Knocks.
Casino Royale, maybe, because it's in the...
Knocks with an X.
Oh, with an X.
That's why I was doing the hands.
Goldfinger, okay.
Goldfinger. James Bond in Flood Bomb.
Oh, is that Beautiful Kill? Beautiful Kill.
James Bond Goes Home.
Skyfall.
James Bond in A Million Reasons to Kill.
Die Another Day? What?
One golden shot.
Oh, well, very good. I'm going to guess it's Man with the Golden Gun.
James Bond in Wet and Wild.
Thunderball. No, never say never again. Are we going Eon?
James Bond in Nothing to Declare.
Nothing. I think it was an American sitcom. Nothing to do. I don't know. I'm struggling with that.
They have nothing to declare except the cello.
Oh, okay, Living Daylights. Very good.
James Bond in Prisoner Exchange.
Die Another Day.
James Bond in Laserface.
I'm not sure. What would that be?
In the film, faces are definitely changed, and it's all about laser from
Face
space.
Is it?
Where is he? Where is Ernst Stavro Blofeld?
Diamonds Are Forever. Wow.
James Bond in Decode Da.
No, I don't know.
Decode Da.
Decode. You're saying it over again.
It's decoder with the Russian for yes on the end. Decode Da.
GoldenEye.
Russian. To be
From
fair,
Russia with Love.
perhaps it is. James Bond in C. That's SEA. See No Evil.
I'm running out of Bond films.
Clang, clang, a lang, a lang, a lang, a lang, a lang.
Spy Who Loved Me.
James Bond in Clown Killer.
Octopussy.
James Bond is Agent Ninja.
You Only Live Twice.
James Bond in Stacked Deck.
Casino Royale.
James Bond in Stacked Deck 2.
Quantum of Solace.
James Bond
It's my
in
favourite.
Secret Jamaica.
Doctor No.
James Bond in Aquatic Attack.
I don't.
AT-AC Attack. Aquatic Attack.
Roger Moore in If Your Eyes Only.
James Bond in Coke Pain.
License to Kill.
James Bond in Monetary Meltdown.
Is that GoldenEye?
James Bond in Stockholm Syndrome.
What's Not Enough?
James Bond in A Bond Family Reunion.
I'm guessing Spectre.
James Bond in Bad News Day.
The best Bond film of all time. Tomorrow Never Dies.
Mike Island, you are the winner.
Another way that Netflix can revolutionise people's viewing habits.
I'm excited by the prospect of, because everyone's a huge critic, I think, and me particularly when I'm watching things, I wouldn't have done it that way. So if I'm therefore presented with the ability to choose something that's a bit more like what I wanted, then I'm going to be paying month after month after month for that opportunity.
But so it makes business sense.
I think it does.
But isn't there the argument that sometimes
you should get what you're given.
Yes.
And you should like it.
So sometimes
it's not your show, it's mine. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it.
You get what you need, not what you want.
Yeah, and you can't always get what you want. Gospel of Mick. Mike Island, are you a real boy?
Well, I used to be a real boy, and
now you're a real man, aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, Thomas.
He has a beard.
But yes, it was revealed earlier on this week that Netflix have acquired the rights in a, I think I'm right in saying a multi-million-dollar deal with the C.S. Lewis company, marking the first time, as Tom sort of was hinting at, that's the first time one company's owned the rights to all the books to adapt them. It's going to be TV and film, made obviously for streaming. Douglas Gresham, who's C.S. Lewis's
TV
stepson.
and film?
Yeah, it's going to.
So it's
talking
about
about
stories as films, and then in betweeny things as
they haven't gone into the sort of details, but they do explicitly say TV and film. So I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of movie with universe-building properties. I don't know how you would do that, because that's really going beyond what C.S. Lewis was writing. He wasn't massively into world building as such, so it's going to be something to explore. I have to say, I'm excited by the prospect, but it's never going to top the 1988 to 1990 BBC series, which I do think is superior to the films.
Don't. Will we finally get a decent version of the Silverchair?
Whoa! Do not...
Fighting words.
Do not knock Tom Baker's Puddle Glum. I don't want to get too heavy, but is this a big societal change?
That everyone's watching something different, and the idea of everyone's watching BBC One on Saturday night, where it just goes away because everything's segmented and different.
Maybe the only things that will exist are things. The only things that will exist is, I don't like the term water cooler, because I actually mean it in an almost deeper way than that, and not deeper water. But
you'd have trouble drowning in a water cooler. You have to put it on your head for a start, and that hole. We haven't got one in here, but that hole is small.
When they say it's an adult cartoon, are they aiming it at an adult audience?
Yes.
Therefore, could there be an argument that you want to differentiate it from the voice of Harley Quinn that people associate with the DC animated?
Maybe let's not taint the memory, so to speak, of the child-friendly clown killer. Agenda.
You're listening to the Shires and Ireland Agenda. Did reference the Cold War, obviously, but how often was it in the series that Bond and MI6 went into the investigation thinking that the enemies were the Soviets, and it turned out there was some villain that was playing one side off against the other?
Bad News Day.
The best Bond film of all time. Why didn't they go for Roger Spottiswoode?
I do.
It was available.
No, it was. All right, so Danny Boyle out, but then the breaking news, I saw it via Twitter, maybe this morning, I'm not going to say it because time is immaterial on the Shires and Ireland Agenda, is that Bond 25 now has a new director. Production starts on the 4th of March next year, which isn't that far away when you think about it. Scheduled now for a Valentine's Day release in 2020. So I'm wondering if there might be some kind of significance to that.
Well, didn't you say that James Bond goes away with a lady at the end of the last film?
He does, so maybe it's all about him buying her a box of chocolates.
You say the
then
reveal is going to be that James Bond has always been the milk tray man. There's been something I've been wanting to relate over the form of this particular agenda for a number of weeks now, and that is, I am waiting on a part from China.
Okay.
I'm waiting on a part from China for my VHS DVD combi.
Ah, because you were going to take it to Malcolm's, weren't you?
Yeah, Malcolm's thing.
Other fixers are available. And fixer, I mean fixer of audio-visual equipment.
Very much so, yes. And I did. And I took it about a month and a half ago, and I've rung up a number of times since, and they say they're waiting on a part to come from the Far East.
All right. So is it the video that's broken or the DVD?
It's the video that's broken. I can put the cassettes in, and the machine turns itself off. If you put them in about 30 or 50 times, it will then eventually work. But when you press stop, it will chew up the video.
I'll be honest, Mike. Is it time to give up on video?
Look, I think it's...
Because, to be honest, John Lewis are one step ahead of you right now.
I think it's the superior format, and we may well come back to that. As I say, I am someone that still is partial to a VHS.
Why? You say it's superior, you think?
I think it's superior... Partly,
do you like it when it goes and it jumps about a bit?
Well, to be honest, I'm genuinely not that bothered about picture quality. It just doesn't matter to me that much. That's not why I watch films or television.
You don't watch them to see them, do you?
No, I watch them for the story. If I get that, that's...
If I can see the story, that's a bonus.
Yeah, basically, yeah. No, part of the reason I like them is you get, if you use long player, 6 hours maybe on a tape. If that tape breaks, that's all I've lost. Whereas if I store it on a device, some sort of other device, I could lose 30, 40, 50 hours worth of stuff if that breaks.
You just don't trust technology, do you?
Well, I suppose partly in that I think if something's going to break, I'd rather it was something that was relatively disposable that broke than something that was high-end. We're going to finish with 3 horror films of differing sorts, starting off with The Ring, which
you're safe from because your video player is broken.
That is true. Although I've used my auxiliary video player.
do you literally have like kind of a switch to auxiliary power and
I have
some little ensign who's sat at his desk goes beep, boop, 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 and swaps over some wires? And
I do have a backup VHS, although no long player. So I'm really burning through the tapes at the moment. Yes, it's The Ring of 2002, the US remake directed by Gore Verbinski, who we may well come back on to later on in the show. Have you ever seen it? Not the actual...
Gore Verbinski?
The tape. But,
I think I've seen the first 2 of the American remakes, yeah.
Okay. And does it stand up as a... I was going to say it's psychological. The first
one.
It's not a gore fest, is it?
No.
Babinski's in it, but...
The concept's quite novel in the sense of what would nowadays be a viral video, but a physical video.
That does work.
That is watched, yeah, but by the internet, it's like the whole world would be gone, wouldn't it?
Well, not everybody would choose to watch it. I don't like horror.
That's true, but you might see it by accident. Some people in these do, they don't intentionally.
I just watch videos, and if it's viral.
But if you walk into the room and it's on, I think you're done for.
Okay.
She climbs out of the well and...
Is that how she gets you?
Well, The Ring itself, I think this is actually a spoiler, so I'll say spoiler alert. The Ring is, in fact, a plan view, a straight on top view of a well.
Okay.
And there's a whole backstory about the girl who's at the bottom of the well, and I don't know how her evil spirit gets caught in a videotape. That bit's escaped me, much like she escaped the well. But she then comes and gets you. But I can't remember why she's doing that. I think she's just a bit ticked off that she was killed in a well.
Okay, 11 p.m. BBC 2.
Channel 2.
future to beat the modern. 900 channels watch paint on the wall. He's the hero who'll save us all. Goggletron, Goggletron, put it on, it's called a Goggletron. Goggletron, Goggletron.
And it was in Sheffield last week that the premiere was shown, because the first episode is actually set in the Steel City.
That is the city from whence the woman falls to earth. Oh yeah, Tom did research.
He did even.
He's my only Doctor Who fact fans.
So yes, this is Jodie Whittaker's first episode.
Is she re Yorkshire? I've not heard her yet.
In this, she's definitely using her original accent, and she comes from not very far away from here. Can we,
is that you not knowing where it is? Or
no,
just...
I'm trying to remember. Skelmanthorpe in Huddersfield.
Oh, okay.
It's part of Huddersfield.
Is it rural Huddersfield?
Yes, it is.
Like Marsden, one of those green places.
It's one of those green places, yes.
Shires Ireland Agenda, HWD Network. Oh, yes, it is the second episode of the Shires and Ireland Agenda, and leading off and on from that conversation about remakes to X-Men, The Next Last Stand Again, aka X-Men Dark Phoenix, aka the film that seemingly doesn't want to be an X-Men film, Dark Phoenix, where the X is in a circle.
It's also the film that apparently doesn't want to be released because it seems to be taking an awful long time.
Simon Kinberg, who's
yes.
He's been explaining that they changed the final act, and therefore, because they changed the final act, they had to go back and change everything else that happened before it.
That's nice.
Which is logical. I like the man's approach. So the trailer for that's hit in the past few days. There's no Vinnie Jones, sadly, in this adaptation. He won't be running through walls and swearing at young children.
Is this another film that is now? Not for Tom.
Oh no, it's not the worst.
People swearing at young children's fine.
It's not the worst swear word that he uses, to be fair, but he just emphatically says that he's the juggernaut, young lady, and it's inappropriate.
Here they are, the agenda.
You're listening to the Shires and Ireland Agenda. I didn't see that one. I saw a really great one on a kind of like True Movies type thing, where John gets really annoyed with Paul during the recording of the White Album, and he's got a pile of papers in his hand. And he goes up to Paul and he goes, "Obla dee, obla da." He just loves the paper at him. And then Paul's having breakfast, and a brick comes through his window, and then just John gets in his car and drives off.
Do you think the director of Dallas Buyers Club and Big Little Lies, Jean-Marc Vallée, could top that?
No.
No, neither do I.
Obla dee, obla da. If you're wondering what that strange noise was, we need to explain. And that is that we have an item that we haven't used yet called Guilty Pleasures.
Yes. We're already reversing an item we haven't used.
Yes.
And I'm going to conclude by saying Casino Royale.
Oh.
I was really taken with the idea of a James Bond that was going back to its roots. Unfortunately, those roots turned out to be blonde. I've never been a fan of Daniel Craig as James Bond. I like him as an actor. I like the fact that he's quite surly when he's on chat shows. I just don't buy him as James Bond. The best moment in his entire time as James Bond is the opening black and white sequence, interspersed with colour actually, at the start of Casino Royale. From then, it was a massive down for me. And it's a real shame because it's got some of the worst product placement in the franchise, and I go into Bond films wanting bad product placement. Let this agenda be a particularly unpleasant and humiliating one.
You're listening to the Shires and Ireland Agenda. Another edition of the Shires and Ireland Agenda in the can. We'll be back next week. I'm not going to say what day it is. I even said tonight's programme earlier on. That was a slight mistake. Take care. It's all right now.
Bye, everybody. Which, the Grand High, which?